Good morning, good morning, good morning. You know what today is? Monday morning chats with Sack, and Sack is me. I hope that you guys had a great weekend. I had a really good weekend. It did rain Sunday, so pretty much, just cooked dinner and cleaned, and got a chance to link up with one of my girlfriends I haven't seen in a while. So that was always a good thing. But for today, I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about steps to forgive and choosing your own happiness. So, Bible study last week, we talked about, so the theme that we had from January to March was having a purposeful life. And what does that mean? And I truly believe that one of the things of having a purposeful life is to forgive. And I feel like when you don't forgive, you can have built resentment, and it's holding a place somewhere deep in your soul where it doesn't allow you to reach your full potential self. And whatever that may looks like, everyone's potential full self will look different. Mine will look different than yours. Yours will look different than your friends or family members or whatever. But I feel like when you don't have full forgiveness, sometime you can block your own blessings. Now, some people will have this idea that everyone doesn't deserve forgiveness. I was like that. I was like, and we talked about that in Bible stuff. Like, does everyone deserve forgiveness? If I steal something out of somebody's purse, but another person kills someone, God looks at that as like that's still a wrongdoing. For me, I was like, no. But God looks at that's still a wrongdoing. If he could forgive the killer, he can forgive me for stealing. So I want to talk about the 7 things that I found online. I'm not a therapist. I do practice therapy tools. I'm a big advocate for therapy. So the steps of forgiveness that I did find, it was 1, acknowledge the hurt. So I think one of the biggest things is that some people, it's okay to feel. I was like that before. Like, I didn't want to feel anything. But it's okay to feel. It's okay to acknowledge, like, this actually hurts me. Consider how the hurt and pain has affected you. And I think that sometimes what we may not realize is that the hurt that we carry with us, if we don't heal from it, it comes up and it shows up in different areas of our life. It could show up in our personal life, maybe in our relationships, whether it's platonic, intimate, maybe the job place or anything, or even friendships. If you're that person where you keep changing friends every year or so, sometimes you just can't point the finger at the friends. Sometimes you gotta like point the finger back at you. So look at how the hurt has affected you. I'm pretty sure maybe it has affected you in some type of way, but you have to be very honest with yourself and say, yeah, I realize based on this hurt, these are the things that I've done. Accept that you can't change the past. Like, the things that happened yesterday, I can't change that. But what I can change is the future. What I can change is my outlook on things. But I can't change how people felt. I can't change what people have done to me. I can't control what people have done to me. But I have to accept the fact that I can't go back. There are some people that still hold grudges from the 1980s. That's over 30 years ago. When would you make that decision to move forward? Determine whether or not you forgive. That's the 4th step. And I think that's like the hardest step, because sometimes people will say, I'm not going to forgive. But honestly, forgiveness is not for the person. And forgiveness doesn't mean that you accept that person's bad behavior. It doesn't mean that, in my opinion. Forgiveness is for yourself. Forgiveness is saying, hey, this hurt, I'm not going to let this damage me. I'm not going to let this hurt affect me. I'm not going to let this hurt stop me from growing. That is my opinion. Some people will beg to differ, which is fine. But you had that decision to make that decision whether or not you're going to forgive. It's a huge decision, but can you forgive if you have it in your heart to do so? Repair. Once you make the decision, I believe once you make that decision to forgive someone, you have to forgive everything. There's no need to throw it in their face after you forgive them. Like, once you forgive them, you give them a clean slate. It's like, let's start all over. And just because you forgive someone, it doesn't mean that you had to be friends with them. You have to consider a future relationship with them, whatever that may look like. You don't have to do that. You ain't never talk to the person again. That's your decision. I think that with some people, once you make that decision to forgive, It's up to you to determine if you want to continue the relationship or you want to end it. Whatever your choice may be, I think that's okay. But if you make the decision to forgive the things that they've done in the past, like, don't let that affect you. Move forward. This was a hard step for me at one point. And sometimes, depending on the hurt, some things take longer to forgive. And that's okay. Like, that's not a bad thing if it takes you longer to forgive. But once you get to that point where you say, hey, I want to forgive, like, that's a really good feeling in my perspective. And then the fifth step is repair. Once you forgive, repair. I think for me, repairing this could be various things like therapy tools. And, a lot of times people think like you got to go to therapy because something is going wrong. But honestly, I made a decision to therapy just to become better. And during therapy, I realized like, hey, I forgave a lot of things, but I also want repairs too. So it was a few things like, hey, there's nothing like drastic going on, but hey, these are the things that I acknowledge. And I just want to be a better person. I just want to be a better, healthy person. And I realized that every conversation is not meant for a family member or a best friend or a friend. I'd rather talk to a neutral party that can give me my outlook on things. Hey, and if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I'm okay with that. So repair. After you make the decision to forgive, then the next step is repair. Because it's like, when you forgive, it's like an open wound, right? It's like taking a bandage off. It's like, whew, everything's out in the open. So what do you do to mend that? What do you do to heal that? You need to repair. And learn. You can learn from it. And then the step 7 is forgive. Now, I did this Bible study, forgiveness 2 years ago, and I had a worksheet. And I used the same worksheet 2 years later. But the one thing that I've learned about forgiveness is not something that you could just learn one time and that's it. I think forgiveness is something that you have to practice every day. First, you have to forgive yourself. Sometimes I think like we're so hard on ourselves. Like sometimes maybe we stayed in a relationship that we wasn't supposed to stay with. Maybe sometimes we were friends with people that we knew had no good interest, nothing good for us. Maybe we stayed at a job for so long when we knew that God told us, hey, it's time for us to go. It could be various reasons, but I think the main thing is we are human. We will make mistakes. And so I think the first thing is, hey, forgive yourself. I think sometimes we are our worst critic. It takes us a long time to forgive ourselves. And we think about all the things that we could have done, what we should have done, but it's okay to be in that moment. And once that moment is over, it's okay to look back and say, hey, I learned from this and I'm not stupid about it. I mean, I could have done things differently, but these are the things I'm going to do moving forward. And that's okay. But forgive. I think that's something that I practice all the time. And sometimes it's harder than others. Like some hurts worse. And sometimes I may cry, sometimes I may pray, whatever. But forgiveness, once you forgive, it takes something off your soul that I can't even imagine. Like the beginning of this year, I forgave a family member and I just felt like a monkey just climbed off my back. I felt like it was just like this weight just taken off of me. And it felt good. It was a good feeling. There's some people that I forgave that I may never talk to them again. And it doesn't mean that I don't, I hate them. I don't hate them, but I made a decision that I forgave. I forgive them for things they have done, things they have said. But I realized that that's not the friendship that I want anymore. And that's okay. Like, that's okay to make that decision. Like, just because you did something to me, I can make the decision to forgive you. And I did. And once I make the decision to forgive you, it's up to me to say, hey, do I want to continue this as a future friendship? And I decided no. Tahari Henson says something that was really important. She's really big on mental health. And the one thing she said is that loving a family member or a friend, if you love them unconditionally. The one thing about life is that people will hurt you. They will hurt you intentionally. They will hurt you unintentionally. And Your feelings will get hurt. Somebody will hurt your feelings. Like, that's just human. That's just a human being. But when you love somebody, you love them unconditionally, and you understand that there's a quote that says that once you understand that people are human, that makes it a little better for you to forgive. And what that means is that people will do things that you don't like. Like, they will. Sometimes they do it intentionally. Sometimes they do it unintentionally. I don't know. But people will do things that you don't like. But if you're going to love somebody unconditionally, you have to understand that somebody will do something that you don't like. But don't let that one thing stop you from loving that person. Now, there's boundaries. Yeah, if they break your boundaries, yeah, you can make the decision to say, hey, I'm done with you. And you can still forgive and not be around that person again. But the choice is yours. So make the decision to forgive if you can, if you find it in your heart. Sometimes it may take you a long time. But once you get there, I think that you'll feel a little better. And whatever better looks like, it's going to look different for you than it is for me. Here's one thing that I stress. The beginning of my year, I did a vision board party. And my vision board, the center of my vision board, it is happiness. I make the decision every day that, hey, I'm going to choose my own happiness before anybody else. And I realized that, sometimes you can't, I realize this and I keep realizing this, is that you can't pour from a cup that's empty. So I had to make sure that my cup is empty. But the one thing that I'm going to tell you that I really believe in my heart, and I even told my therapist that, is that sometimes when you choose your own happiness, people will not like that. Because maybe they're getting the benefit of you by doing things for them, and you're doing nothing for yourself. So just imagine you're doing all these things for this person, however it may be. They're happy. Like, you're doing the things that make them happy. But you got to point the finger back at you and say, hey, but what about me? Like, what about me? Am I happy? And so sometimes when you make the decision to choose your happiness first, you will piss off a lot of people. Because now they realize, like, hey, you can't do as much for them because all the energy that you was giving to them, you should have been giving it to yourself. So make the decision to make yourself happy. Do the things that make yourself happy. You had the decision to make yourself happy. Happiness is a choice. It's a choice that you make. And so people would not like that because now they're not getting the benefit of you. Maybe they're not having as much access to you. But make the decision to be happy. And someone asked me, well, if you're making a decision to make yourself happy, how do you think that may make other people feel if you're doing things for them, you're doing this and that? And I said, honestly, I don't care. I've learned that I can't get mad over how people feel. You are entitled to your feelings. I can get mad if a person is angry at me because I decide to choose my happiness first. That's none of my business what you think about me. However you feel, that's fine. I think that's something that we all could benefit from. If we sit down and think about all the people that don't like that we're choosing their happiness first, or they're mad because we're not doing things for them, or whatever the case may be, the list would be very long for you guys. So make the decision to choose your happiness first. Yeah, you're going to piss off some people, but let them stay mad. Like, let them stay mad. You can't do nothing with things you can't control. I can't control other people's feelings, but what I can control is how I react to something. How I respond to things. What I can control is what I'm going to do in the next 30 minutes. What I can't control is things that happened yesterday. That's the past. But what I can control is things moving forward. So your happiness, let that be first. Let that be first. Choose your happiness. So what if people get mad? Let them stay mad. Like that saying, stay mad, Gabby. Let them stay mad. But choose your happiness first. People may be pissed off at you, but so what? Maybe one day they'll see the bigger picture. If not, don't help them. Let them figure it out themselves. But when you do things to make other people happy, you need to ask yourself, are you happy first? So my question to you, are you happy? Are you choosing your happiness first? And choosing your happiness first doesn't mean that you're stingy. It doesn't mean that you're selfish. Self-love is the best love, and you should love yourself first. And loving yourself first does mean putting your happiness first. Now, this may look different when you have children. I don't know. I don't have kids right now. But for me, if I'm going to be a mother, I can't be a good mother if I don't love myself first and if I'm not happy. So make that decision to be happy. Like, that's okay. It's okay to be happy. That's absolutely okay. And it's a good thing to forgive. And make that decision when you're able to and willing to do so. So I hope and pray that this message did bless you. I hope that you're able to find joy in the smallest things. I hope that you're able to be happy for the smallest things, but know that your happiness is your choice. Make sure your happiness comes first before all things. There's times where I would tell people, hey, I can't do this. And they ask me why. There's no explanation. I can't do this. Sometimes people be mad because you decided to say no because you want to do something for you. Let them stay mad. Choose your happiness. I hope and pray that you just never forget how amazing you are. I hope that this week that you do something nice for yourself. It's the springtime. April is almost here. It's a new month. So I hope and pray that you have goals for April. And some of the goals for April may not be financial. It may be just to love on yourself just a little bit more. It may to hug on yourself just a little bit more, because in the pandemic, some people are not having the physical touch that they need. And sometimes the physical touch doesn't mean like a sexual thing. Sometimes people just need a hug. So I hope that if you're able to, is that if you desire to get a hug, I pray that you do get one. I pray that you just never forget that you're great and you're capable of amazing things. This upcoming month, April, will be great for you. Great things are in store for you. You just got to believe that. I hope that your Monday is spectacular. I pray that your Tuesday is phenomenal. I pray that your Wednesday is extraordinary. I pray that your Thursday is just awesome. I pray that your Friday is just unforgettable. And I pray that your weekend is lit. And it is Sunday. It is Resurrection Day. So I just hope that you have a phenomenal week and just never forget that you are amazing, you are great, and you are capable of great and amazing things. Take care, guys, and don't forget to follow me on my YouTube page. It is Sakina Tillman Esquire. Tell a friend to follow my page. So that way, hopefully this message can encourage you and encourage someone else. Take care, guys.